So we can send you a link to this video recording of the webinar at the conclusion, and you can always use it as a reference when you're building your forms for your landing pages. So thanks for jumping on. As I've mentioned a bunch of times here, we are going to be going over the form manager in the boberdoo system, explore how you can create CSS templates, create forms in the boberdoo system, easily push those to your landing pages so that you can rapidly get up new landing pages for A/B testing, for new lead verticals, and then how to control all of those actions from the back end in your boberdoo system. So we're going to being leads.boberdoo. One thing you'll notice is the interface for this tab may look slightly different than how it looks in yours. We're continually making improvements, so this is the most recent release. Anybody that would like to be on it at the end, please send me an email, scott@boberdoo.com. We'll get an update scheduled for your system. So the first thing that we're going to cover today is just showing you where Forms Manager. So in your tab, you'll see the Form Manager, and then you will have all of your different lead types. These are just the ones that we've created in the boberdoo system. Yours may be different. And the idea is that you can build forms for each lead type, and then again push those easily to your landing pages. But before we get to the actual form management of it, let's take a look at CSS templates. In the Forms Manager page, you'll see CSS templates on the far right. So this is going to be where you actually configure the CSS for a particular landing page. You can then save it, and in this management page, you'll be able to see if they are in use, and if so, what the specific form that is using it, so that you can manage your CSS accordingly. So I have set up one for this webinar, and we'll just go in and take a look at that. I will preface this all by saying I am obviously not a website designer, and I would assume that you all have the ability to produce a much prettier version of the CSS than I did here. This is, again, just for demonstration purposes. But one thing to note is that we can build custom CSS for you and then place them into your system. Obviously, it would not be me doing this, but one of our designers. So just keep that in the back of your mind. If you'd like us to do that, again, please feel free to email me anytime. So in this page, you're going to see a preview of what your form would look like with the current CSS. And then you have the option of editing these using the tools on the right-hand side. So we have a visual editor, which we're going to be using. That is for the non-IT people. But we do have a code editor as well if you are giving this responsibility to a website designer and they prefer to work in the code version. So the first thing we'll come to is the form body. So when you click on each section, you're given several options for customizing the CSS. So first we have the background, and you can see here that's shaded in gray. If we change that to white, it will look accordingly, or if we do something really outrageous as such. You then have the font. So in here are several fonts that are available for selection. You can change it and find the one that works best for your form. And then you have your font weight. So you can do normal or bold. The default is to the normal. And then your font color. So we can change to white, or as in the case that we used, a matte blue here. And next we have margin and padding. So margin is actually going to shrink or increase the actual size of the form and provide you with a margin relative to the page. Next we have padding, which, as you can see, is going to build that padding or that margin into the form itself, keeping the overall form the same size. You'll notice that these are locked, but you can unlock them and edit them accordingly as well. You also have the ability to do the border. So here we have a really juvenile dash. You can also do line, which would look a little more professional in most cases, I would think. Next, we come to the legend. So this is going to then be covering the top part of the system here. So you have your background color. And then again, you'll notice that the options are pretty similar. So you have your color, your font weight, your font color. So currently it is white, but maybe we want to make that black. You have your font size, and then the border around that as well. And you can see if you're looking to create an additional border at the bottom of that section. And then finally, you have the height of that legend section. Next, we have the field set. Again, same options: default, normal, or bold. You have your padding. You can lock or unlock those. And then again, your border. If you want a specific border, apply it as such. Next, we have labels. These are going to control the form field names. And again, same options. So you have your color, your font size, and then the height. That is going to give you the distance between those fields. Next, we have the fields themselves. So you can customize the background color. You can customize the air color, and then again, font weight, font color, font size. Obviously, we don't want to go too crazy with that. The line height, or excuse me, again, the height of the inboxes, of the submit boxes, and then the line height as well. And then finally, again, the border around those fields that you can customize. And you can also do things like rounded corners. Finally, you have your button customization. So in here, you'll see the button is red. You can do the same options: color, weight, font, size. You have your margins for the specific to the button, and then the padding for the button itself. Then again, you have your height, your border around the submit button, and then rounded corner options. Finally, we have our checkboxes. So if they are not enabled, they're just your standard checkboxes, but we can enable them. You can do minimal, square, flat, and then customize those colors as well. So once you configure your CSS style in the way that you'd like, you quickly add this save template, and then you can create the name or save it over the current one. So that is, in a nutshell, going through the CSS editor to build that the look and feel of your site, and to be able to give you the ability to match it better to your landing page. The next thing that we're going to then explore is the back-end options in the form builder itself. So on this page, in the form builder lead type, I have one that is set up that we'll be taking a look at. So in here, the edit information is going to allow you to customize the back end of the actions that take place when a lead from this form manager gets inserted into your system. So you have your name invention, the user, if there is a specified user. If it is a fairly open form, you can just use the unspecified admin. You can then assign a default source. The form builder does have the ability to accept the dynamic strings, so you can build one form and then do $SRC equals to build those links specifically for your various lead sellers or sources. Next, you have the landing page. That is where this side. You can insert your sub ID and pub ID. And then we have our lead QC. So this is the form version, allowing you to select those QC package on a form basis as opposed to just a source by source basis. And finally, we have the CSS style. So you'll see the webinar CSS is the one that I just went through. But we also have several default templates that are available. And then down here, you'll see the custom ones that you've created so that you can select accordingly. Next, we have the force auto width and height. What this will do is automatically adjust the height and width of the size of the form based on your CSS and fields that you enter. So this is going to prevent those scrolling options that you might see when the code that we see up here in the right, and we'll get to in a second, has a default of 500 by 500 pixels. Now you have mobile optimization. So you can choose, for example, sorry, we had an emergency here. 1 second, please. All right, I apologize. So the mobile optimization, if you do not want mobile optimized, if you do want mobile optimized, when you select it, it will give you the mobile specific settings. So you can change those. You have your header, your footer, you can do a custom logo, and then additional header and footer text. So you can then customize that. The system then will recognize that it's a mobile browser and display these mobile optimized settings as opposed to the traditional one. Next, we have the thank you page. So this is a good opportunity for a cross offer. You can display custom text into this section, or you can redirect within the iframe or redirect to another URL completely, as we are in this case redirecting you to boberdoo.com/thank you. And then finally on the right here we have alternative submit button and agree to terms. So TCPA checks, I agree to be contacted by a service provider, etc. Verbiage can then be put in there, and and then you can enable or disable them so that the lead has to click the checkbox prior to submission. So when you customize all of this back end to your liking, up at the top right here you'll see webs code. The idea is that you can grab this little div code and paste that onto any landing page, and then that will display the form and allow you to maintain control of it from your Boberdoo back end. So there is also a WordPress plugin that we'll cover in a second that is also another easy way to get leads or get the form into a new page for you. So the next option that we will cover are the form fields configuration. So when we click and edit here, it's going to give you the fields for this specific lead type. All of your internal fields like source and landing page will be default to hidden with specific values. You can customize the form fields themselves. You can hide the show or hide. For example, company name not required. We can hide that field if we do not want that to be displayed on this particular form. And you can also edit those fields. So this will give you the default style. If you wanted to change the form name from company to company name, for example, you can do that. You can change inputs to select values and then give people additional options. So in cases where you might be capturing a field in an integer for loan amount, for example, you can change that to a select and give the lead options for a drop down and then have those post as a specific value into your system. So this is a good way to allow you to customize those field names and those field options on a form by form basis, so that if something drastic were to happen, it would only affect this form. Maybe if you were to put an incorrect value in here, if you were to put, something like that, it would only be affecting that form and then not affect all of your other resulting traffic. You can also do things like split the form, split phone fields, and excuse me, and then you can also reset them to the default if you get too far down that road and need to start over. So then the final section for the back end is the builder itself. And this is where you can customize the layout of the form. For example, you can do title align. So the entry box is on the same line as the field name or below it. You can add sections as we have here. So we have a name section and then a contact info section. That is going to allow you to bring your form horizontally. And then we also have you do multi-page forms. So for example, if you wanted email to be on the second page, we can customize it as such. You can also do split fields on the same line. So if we shrink those two, and now that first and last name will be on the same page, or on the same row, excuse me. You can delete fields, and then you can also move them accordingly. So then once you hit save, that then will push this new layout to any place that has that div code. So currently the forms on our /form builder demo, and this is what it looks like currently. Again, I'm not a designer, so bear with me a little on that. And then if we come in here and were to save new layout, we can refresh this page. And we will notice, first off, that instead of contact us, we see next. And that is because the form field layout went from a single page form to a multi-step. And you'll also see the side-by-side of the first and last name. And so again, every time you save change in the back end, you'll get pushed to any place that has that div code. And so the last thing that we were going to cover today is the WordPress plugin. So if you have WordPress sites, please shoot me an email, and I would be happy to provide you with the plugin zip so that you can upload that into your WordPress page. If we go into Bobber's WordPress, once that plugin has been added, you then link up your account. So this is going to be your lead system, and then you have your API key. So this is going to be the API key of the user, in our case, the super admin. So that would be found in Manage Users, and then whoever the appropriate user is will have an API key that you can then grab and use to validate this plugin. So once you link the your system an API key, the form settings tab then will populate a drop-down box for all of your WordPress pages. So in here, you can select it, and you're going to be shown a list of all of the forms that you have built. So the order is the lead type, followed by the form name, followed by the default source. So the one that we have using is Form Builder Demo. The form name is also Form Builder Demo, and the default source is Demo Video. So you can then choose which form is appropriate for this WordPress page, and then click to activate, as we have done down here for the Form Builder. So once you activate that, the code will then get pushed into the appropriate WordPress page, as we see right here. You can also deactivate it at any time and remove that code from the page. You can change forms very easily from your WordPress login. So, there were some questions, and we're going to open those up here in a second. But those conclude what I wanted to cover with you on building a form in the system. So we're going to go back into the Forms Manager page, and I'm just going to take a look at some of these questions here. So yes, I'm recording this video, so I will send it to everyone that registered and that's attending today. So the next question is, can the form builder be used for other functions, for example, new client sign up? That is a very good question, and is actually something that's currently in development. As you may know, you can use we have an API for creating a new partner in your boberdoo system. Create new partner, create new vendor. And so those are on the roadmap, currently under development, so that those would be options through the WordPress plugin as one of the drop-down options, so that you could easily add a client sign-up to one of your WordPress pages, and then right after the new client sign-up would be the new vendor sign-up. So you could do this thing, and we'll be using those APIs that I just showed you to complete those actions. I will be sending out an email to everyone that registered for this once that is released. Client requested filter sets or add funds, those are primarily done not through a lead type per se, so there are no current plans to add those functions in there. All right. So now I'd like to open it up and find out what other questions that I can answer for you guys. So you can either just ask them out loud. I don't think we have a terribly high number of people on here, or you can Skype them across the Join Me if you'd like. Did I do that good of a job? All right. Going once. Yeah, I'd be more than happy to answer any if they come up. I mean, it's not it's not rocket science. It's not as complex as the ping post that we covered last month, but it is a new feature and functionality in your system, and we think it could be very useful for companies, especially those that are doing online marketing and generating their own leads.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I guess if there's no questions, we won't make this any longer than it has to be. So thank you very much for joining me. If you do think of questions after we hang up, please, again, don't hesitate to contact me. My my email is Scott, SCOTT, at boberdoo.com, and you can always call me at 1-800-776-5646. So thanks a lot for joining me on today's webinar, and I hope to see you next month when we'll be covering call routing options.
Thank you.
Thank you.